Okay, there we go. Thanks. Did that activate?
Yep.
Perfect. So for our child nutrition program monthly webinar, this is our agenda. We'll start with verification, go through SFA on-site monitoring, talk about the after-school snack program review, 30-day carryover, direct certification, procurement, grant management, USDA foods, talk about Farm to School Month and the census, National School Lunch Week, summer meals and the rural non-congregate feeding, Turn Up the Beat Award, and then some reminders for next month. So for verification, go ahead, Melissa.
Good morning, everyone. So the verification process is a big deal. Oh, wait, I mean, it's a big deal. It takes place over 6 weeks of time and includes several steps to verify a selection of applications that were received by the first operating day of October. In order to verify applications, the applicants selected they must provide income documentation, or if determined by other source categorical eligibility, which are not on your direct certification list, documents confirming categorical eligibility must be provided. What this means is if you received an application with the food stamp number on it, for example, but the child was not on your direct cert list, the application was selected for verification, then you must contact the family to provide something from the food stamp office stating that they were approved for food stamps for the months around the application submission. All right, next slide. Applications must be counted on October 2nd this year in order to determine sample pool, and then hang on to that number of applications because you'll need it later for the report. Once the number and type of applications to be verified have been selected, give them to your confirming official. This is really important. They have to make sure that they're determined correctly before you send anything out, because if they were denied, there's nothing to verify. Run the direct certification at this point. And if you've already run it, or you should have run it by this point, run it again, because after selecting your applications, if that app comes, if the app that was selected comes back as directly certified, then you're done. You don't have to send anything to the family to collect. That's called direct verification, which is different than direct certification. All right, next slide. Midway through October, or approximately 2 weeks after sending verification letters, send a second notice to any household that hasn't responded. When sending a second notice, advise of the date the benefits will end if no response is made. This is required by regulation. Also midway through October, but no later than the end of the month, run direct certification again. You must record the number of students in your district that qualify for free meals through food stamps or SNAP. This has to be reported to USDA. So you'll report it to us, we'll report it to USDA. Public schools can use a state level match feature for this, but all schools must run direct certification during this time and report the number of SNAP eligible children in your school. All right, next slide. Oh, no, we're on this one. October 31st. All right. Verification reporting will open on October 31st. Using this as of October 31st date, count the number of students in your district who are eligible for free or reduced price meals by category, as shown on this slide. All verification activities, including submission of the report in MyEdo CNP, must be completed no later than Wednesday, November 15th. All SFAs, all school food authorities, must complete the verification report even if no applications are taken. So everybody has to complete the report. It's just a little different if you don't take applications. Next slide.
Melissa, hang on, we have a question. If schools are on harvest the week of October 2nd, can they run the report on the 9th when they're back in session?
So the 9th would be the first operating day, then that would be appropriate, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Remember though, if that is the case for you, you have a shortened time span. So you're going to have to act a little faster to get everything done. You're going to have to tighten everything up. Okay. In order to complete verification as required, it is crucial to begin the process during the first week of October. The harvest situation aside, instructions will be sent via email. Again, do not get yourself into a pickle. That's the pickle. Reach out to me via email or phone if you have any questions, any at all. I'm here to assist as much as I can. Let me know. And I'm seeing the question, if we are on CEP, do we do verification? You do the report. You have to do the report, and you have to do a direct certification run in October. It's a really simple report. I can walk you right through it. For those that are on CEP or do not take applications, provision 2, that kind of thing. It's a simpler process, but yeah, you have to do the report. You don't do the process. You don't have to start anything at the beginning of October. That's it.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Any more questions, anyone? You've got the rest of the webinar to come up with them. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Melissa. All right, now we'll jump over to the SFA on-site monitoring.
All right, good morning, everybody. This is Cambria. So we just wanted to give you guys a reminder that SFA on-site monitoring is it is due by February 1st of every school year. So what we want to remind you of is that 100% of your lunches need to be reviewed and 50% of your breakfast need to be reviewed. If you are a district that only has one site, it is not required for you to complete this, but we do still highly recommend that you complete this. It's just a really great way to monitor what's going on in your kitchens and maybe just see things that might be overlooked on the day-to-day. But if you are a district that has more than one site, please remember to get these scheduled so that they can be completed prior to February 1st. If you need to go find this form, it is available in section 11 of download forms. And please keep this form. This needs to be retained and available for the state agency to review. So please make sure that you are keeping it for the 3 years plus current requirement. Next slide, please. And just a reminder that it is just a really great way of having an internal control for ensuring accuracy of meal counting and claiming. Things get overlooked when we're super busy and just doing our day-to-day tasks, that this is a great way to pause, to look to see how your kitchen is running, and to really hone in on the things that the state agency looks for when we come out on reviews. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, now we will switch over to the after-school snack program review. So this is a reminder that if you are operating after-school snack, you must complete 2 reviews during the school year. The first one must be during the first 4 weeks of the snack program operation. So for those of you who started in August, this is probably coming up very, very quickly. So if you have not done this already, please make sure that you get this reviewed as soon as possible. The second time is just before the program ends. And if you need the form for the review, this can be found in section 15 in download forms. Okay, next slide. All right, now 30-day carryover. So 30-day carryover is it's going to be ending after the 30th operating day. So that is going to be different for every single district. So what I would like everybody to do is to go and look at your calendar and figure out which day is your 30th operating day. So on this, or after carryover ends, so after this 30th day, all meal benefits need to change to paid for any student that has not been determined as free or reduced for the new school year. when your carryover ends, please go and check your point of service, your benefit issuance list in your point of service to make sure that all of those students that did not submit an application for this new school year, that they were switched to the paid benefit. We do know that sometimes different softwares don't talk to each other. And so what might be one software has them as paid, maybe your point of service didn't get that. So please make sure that all of the students who did not submit an application did actually get their benefit changed to paid. Okay, next slide. And this is just another reminder for direct certification. So direct certification must be run a minimum of 3 times per year. So the first one is going to be the beginning of the school year. So if you have not run your list already, please go do that. I would say today, because this is going to be very, very helpful in not having to process as many applications. The schedule that we recommend is 90 days after this beginning of the school year and 180 days after the beginning of the school year. So I would recommend running it more than this. I would recommend probably once a month. So when you run a list, you want to make sure that you are running it as early and as often as possible, because you want to be able to capture as many children that come onto that list as possible. So please make sure that you are doing it at least 3 times a year, but I would recommend more, especially if you know of new students coming into your school. Please make sure that you're running that. Okay, next slide. All right, now I will hand it off to Kat, and she will talk to you guys about procurement.
And Cambria, I'm not
Hi,
sure.
everybody. I'm here finally. I took a moment to get in. Just to let you know, there's several schools that I have already sent out emails to with instructions on how to upload your information for procurement. So make sure you're looking for my emails. I think I've sent out about 15 or 20 of them, and I've only heard back from about 8 of you. So please go in and check. If you can't find the email, you can go into my Idaho CNP and you can find the information under the review, where the reviews are. You'll have one for your AR and then one for your procurement. And if you're getting a procurement review, the information will be in there. So if you do have the information, please make sure that you're following up with that. There's a lot of emailing that goes back and forth, but the procurement reviews should go pretty quickly. I don't come to your schools. Those are strictly done by desk review. You'll also be hearing from me if you're getting an AR and a procurement review at the same time. So the emails from me may be about 2 different topics. I do try to separate those. So just make sure that you're not ignoring the emails. And if you have any questions at all, please let me know ahead of time. Don't get frustrated. Just call me up and we can walk through it, and I can get you step by step through what I'm looking for and everything. And for those of you that have started, thank you so much. It makes it much easier for me. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, good morning. I have just a few quick updates or reminders for you. First is that there are still a few of you that have not yet drawn down your supply chain assistance funding from the first 3 allocations. Those of you that did have a balance were notified via email a few weeks ago. Quite a few of you have submitted your requests, but there are still a handful that still have some funds left over. Any funds that are not drawn down from the GRA by September 30th will be lost. So please be sure you go in and get those funds. And then I have some good news. We have a 4th allocation of funding and it's ready to go out. We are just waiting for the funds to hit the GRA and then we will release them. We're hoping that this will be sometime next week. These funds have the same restrictions as the previous funds. However, they are to be used for food purchases for the 2023-24 school year. So this school year. These funds need to be drawn down. You have until September 30th of 2024 to draw those funds down. Next slide, please. And then I also wanted to give you a heads up that the 2023 NSLP equipment grant applications will be released next week on September 27th. We will send the grant application out via email to all NSLP sponsors, and it will be also posted to our website under the grant opportunities page. The deadline to have the application submitted back to us is October 27th. We will then score, rank them, and let you know by November 10th if you're awarded any funds. Once awarded, you have about 7 months or until July 1st in order to purchase and install your equipment. We only have 129,459 available for the entire state. So it is a competitive process, but the application is fairly simple, and I encourage you to apply if you have any equipment needs. Funds can be requested for only one piece of equipment with a minimum cost of $1,000, and you do need to submit 3 comparable bids with your application. The applications that we send out will have all the instructions and information, but if you have any questions, just give me a call. And that's all I have. I think I'm going to turn it over to TJ now.
Great, thank you so much, Sean.
Hey,
So-
TJ, can I butt in for just a minute?
Sure.
I'm so sorry. This is Kat. What Sean was just talking about with those requests, you do not need to put in a capital expenditure request for those. Those strictly go to Sean. So I just wanted to let you know that. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Kat. Let's go ahead and cover a little bit about USDA foods. If you've been watching broadcast emails and WebSCM notifications, you probably recognize that a lot has been happening in our USDA foods program the last couple of weeks. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about, although I've sent out a broadcast email, I just want to reiterate exactly what's going on, because sometimes the minutia of all the words gets confusing. So essentially, our overall entitlement, which was used to procure foods for school year 23-24, has been significantly reduced. And the reason for that, there's actually 2 factors associated with how entitlement is calculated. So the first piece of that puzzle is that the reduced meal counts will impact our entitlement. So we start the ordering cycle with old data. So the meal counts that were in the system when we placed orders in March were from school year 21-22. However, once all eligible meals have been counted, we update that data in our processes, so we know where we lie. So in pulling the data for all eligible meals for school year 22-23, once all claims had been submitted, the state of Idaho has seen a decline of more than 5,000 meals. And the meals were from school year 21-22 when we had no waivers, we weren't operating SSO. So there was an expectation for a decline in meals. However, when I ran the data before opening the WebSCM catalog, the projections were about 2.5 million meals. Unfortunately, we far exceeded that, and that's not good news. So I did want to explain a couple of things about this decline. First of all, this is the most substantial decline in more than a decade. I ran data clear back to program year 2012, and you can see on the screen that we've averaged between 23 million and 25 million meals. So when we started our initial program year 2024, we had 25,979 377 meals that were used to place orders. However, once claims were submitted, the projected update for our program year 2024 comes out to about 20 million meals. So that's where we get our 5 million meals less. And that is based on claim data that was calculated through September 30th, through September 15th. We need to know this in advance because USDA will do their final meal count update in WebSCM in November 2023 to the actual reported school year 24 meal counts. So when I pulled those 20 million meals, that's from our claim data. So our meals, when they get updated, will be really, really close to that 20 million mark. So that's first factor. Now let's go ahead and roll over to the next slide, please. So then, of course, the second factor in our reduced entitlement is what is called the effective per meal rate that's decided by USDA. And of course, those two pieces, the meal counts times the per meal rate, is how we come up with our final program year 24 entitlement. And that's what we spent back in March of 2023. So we did withhold some funding, but we do our very best to spend 100%. We had not anticipated a 5 million decline in meals, nor had we anticipated that USDA would reduce the per meal rate from 43 cents to 0.365. So in years past, there have been a couple of times where the rate has reduced, but it's been very, very minimal. And there has never been a 6.5 cent reduction. So this was unprecedented, and I'm really tired of that word, but USDA also did not provide us any indication whatsoever that they would substantially reduce the price prior to the rate being released in July 2023. So we had spent money that we didn't necessarily know how much would be, based on two factors that have now compounded sort of a really unfortunate situation. So I just wanted to explain that to everyone so that you can now understand the steps that had to be taken by the state agency as a result of the reduced entitlement. So next slide, please. So obviously, if you've been watching your WebSEM notifications, you've seen that the state agency has had to cancel truckloads. Now, when we get to cancellation of truckloads at this stage of the game, we're really limited. USDA has aggressively been purchasing our truckloads. So we had to make decisions around what we even had authority to cancel. When truckloads reach a specific status with USDA, you can no longer cancel them. So our decisions were quite limited, but we had to make some decisions, because what we do not want to do is compound the two unfortunate situations that we just talked about with carrying over a deficit in our entitlement in the next school year. So what most people aren't probably aware of is this entitlement lives at a state level. It's one big bucket of money. And if we overspend next year, USDA, when they recalculate, will take our overspent away. So that is not something that we can do. We already have two really unfortunate situations to deal with. So canceling trucks is the only way to handle that. What we ended up having to do is cancel two truckloads of unsweetened applesauce that were not in the purchase status. They were still only approved by us. So that equates to 1,824 cases. One truckload of white whole wheat flour, 1,071 cases, two truckloads of fine ground beef at 2,000 cases. And then the other options for canceling are our raw bulk materials that go to processors. Those are always purchased by USDA on an as-need basis. So we had quite a few truckloads of potatoes, chicken, and a truckload of mozzarella cheese that was still in unpurchased status. So those were the unfortunate results. And you can see that's a lot of pounds when you add them all up. But I do want to give you a little bit of hope in this. It's not good news. All schools that have been impacted were notified, but we have done our very best to prioritize reducing the impact. So what we did was all of the unused pounds from school year 22-23 that were swept into the Idaho single bank, this whole new process that we were hoping was going to be really easy for you guys to wrap your heads around, we're going to use the pounds that were swept into the single bank to benefit the RAs who were directly affected by the canceled sales orders. So when I mentioned before that we canceled cheese, we carried over 17,000 pounds of Classic Delight cheese. Those pounds are available to only the school districts that were impacted by the cancellation. The same is true for Tyson chicken. We carried over 135,000 pounds of chicken broken out into white and dark. Only the school districts that were impacted by those canceled sales orders will have access to these swept pounds. So no, it does not meet by any stretch 17,000 pounds compared to 41,000 pounds canceled, but it at least helps reduce the impact. So I wanted you to know that's one way we prioritized. The second way was through the direct delivery products that were canceled. So the state agency typically buys surplus product on most of our truckloads that come into the state. So the schools make up maybe 3/4 of a truckload, and then the state makes up the other quarter of a truckload. What we opted to do is the surplus on any of the truckloads of beef, applesauce, or flour that were canceled, those surplus cases, which are listed here, approximately 257 beef cases, 99 applesauce cases, and 399 white blend flour, those will only be made available through the advertisement post to RAs who were specifically affected by the canceled sales orders, so they can go in and claim those surplus products. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. And then I did just want to remind, I believe that I just saw something in the chat that Lynda was letting everyone know, please remember that you do have those SCA funds to buy food with, but you've got to make sure you're following the rules on those SCA funds, that you are only using them for domestic food products. They cannot be processed. Okay, they have to be unprocessed or minimally processed. Okay, so problem solving, because now the onus is on those folks that know we have reduced entitlement. What do we do? So you've really got to explore alternative menu options. So first of all, in school year 22-23, we swept pounds from National Food Group. We still have 16,000 pounds of diced peaches and 23,000 pounds of diced pears. If the applesauce that's available to you through surplus isn't enough, make sure you're claiming these pounds in the single bank so that you have fruit to back up what you would have menued for applesauce items. The same is true for any meat alternate products like Tyson Advanced Pierre. I had 16,000 pounds of ground beef at Tyson Pierre that was swept. So if you lost some of your fine ground beef, you have access to the beefsteak burgers at Tyson Advanced Pierre. There's also pork picnic at Advanced Pierre, 15,000 pounds. So please look at your menus now. Don't wait. Have a plan in place for adjusting now so that you can be on top of any adjustments that you need to make so that you're serving compliant meals. And then we are helping where we can. So I wanted to let everyone know that eligible school districts will be receiving notifications, hopefully today, about rebates for the cost of receiving, storage, and delivery of all USDA foods products that were received for the entire school year 2022-23. So every single penny you spent on your per case fee is coming back to you in the form of a check from the State Department of Education. So we are releasing over $59,000 that will be infused to your districts to defray the cost of additional purchases through the commercial market. All rebates must be posted to the Child Nutrition Fund 290. So the food service director and the superintendent will receive this notification. It is on you to please ensure that those funds go into your account so that you can use them to defray the costs of foods. And then I do believe that that is all from the USDA foods. If you want to go to the next slide. And Pamela, I believe this is you. And did we maybe?
And no, is this okay?
Yes, we can hear you now, Pamela.
Okay, thank you. That was close. All right, thanks, TJ. And I had to talk for a minute about October being Farm to School month. So some folks are having harvest celebrations and farmers harvest markets. Some are holding tasting events, and many are integrating local produce into their FFVP activities. Um, this is a time for you to really, look around and spotlight what you can do. How will you celebrate? Well, we can first celebrate that the final rule is effective on the 22nd, and that allows you to use the term locally grown or locally raised when procuring with a geographic preference in mind. How else when you go celebrate Farm to School month? If you're going to a corn maze or visiting a farm in the neighborhood being mileage might vary, but go ahead and take some pictures. We're going to be doing a spotlight on local. So send us a picture of your local food items that you're showcasing on your lunch or breakfast trays or in an FFEP offering, and send them on in to Sharon. We'll compile them and share them in the webinar the following month. And we like to highlight the awesome job that you're doing in putting local foods into healthy meals to feed Idaho children. And also, if you share some great meal pattern ideas and FFEP ideas, lots of folks have grants and look for using some of that local produce. The other things that you might spotlight, do you know the farmer, or do you grow the produce in your own garden? Do your vendors display a geographic preference, and even talk to the delivery drivers? Do they know what's in season? Ideally, we would like to spotlight and support Idaho first. And this brings us to what's in season for sure. There's still a lot of variety, like 70% is in season. Our break room was filled with local melons of the heirloom variety and cucumbers. And now we've got grapes and pumpkins. The autumnal equinox is within days, signaling the end of the growing season. And so I just wanted to say, enjoy the bountiful harvest. The Farm to School census is next month as well. Schools will be getting a unique link to access the survey. In the meantime, you can look over your receipts from last year and get an idea of how much local produce you were able to serve. You might be surprised on how easy it is to participate in Farm to School activities. And just remember that October 9th through the 13th is the National School Lunch Week. And even though it was declared in 1962, the National School Lunch Program goes back even further, back to 1946. It was created to provide nutritious meals to children from low-income families who might not otherwise have access to a daily meal. NSLP ensures the health and well-being of all public school students. It boosts academic performance by giving students the fuel they need to succeed and closes the opportunity gap for children. So during your week-long celebration, SFAs can celebrate with special menus, events, activities, and all with the goal of increasing student participation. If you need help with getting ideas on how to increase your meal participation, by all means, reach out. There are a lot of ideas out there. SNA and ISNA is a wealth of resource for how you might boost your participation, and spread the message to parents that you're serving healthy and delicious school lunch at, and then use media coverage from local papers, TV stations, and bloggers, social media. Connect with the teachers and administrators at your school or in your district to spread the word that school meals are healthy and delicious. So put that on your calendars. And here are some URLs that you can go to for some more help. And then Marianne, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Pamela. Good morning, everyone. So I know that you guys are all full speed ahead planning your school year operation, or obviously in the midst of your school year operation. But here in the state agency, we are already thinking about summer 2024 and some big changes that are coming down the pipeline. And so this next couple of slides, just some reminders for our SFSP and SSO sponsors. As many of you guys are aware, for our SFSP and SSO sponsors, beginning in summer 2024, eligible SFSP and SSO sponsors may apply to operate a non-congregate feeding operation in rural communities. Of course, the state agency is currently waiting on regulations and guidance from USDA, and these are expected to be released late this year. We're expecting December, perhaps early next year. However, in anticipation to how the operation will look like next summer here in Idaho, the state agency is planning to facilitate a discussion during the ISNA food show next month. And so we highly encourage, if you're planning to attend this food show, please consider attending the non-congregate feeding rule track to discuss what you may be expecting or anticipating under this new model of operation. If you are interested, if you do qualify, what may be the biggest challenge you're anticipating, increase of participation, or what might hinder you from applying to operate under this new regulation. And so we're really looking forward to just gathering some information, gathering some data from our sponsors in anticipation for the regulations and guidance to be released next or later this year. So if you're planning to attend the ISA food show, please, we hope to see you. And if you are not a current SFSP or SSO sponsors, and you may be interested in having just a discussion, or maybe you have some questions about it, please reach out to the state agency, and we would be more than happy to have just some one-on-one discussions with you on becoming a new sponsor. And if you are eligible, if this is perhaps something that you may be able to do, or you may be able to be eligible for. So looking forward to meeting with you all next month and having just really some transparent, open discussions regarding this new policy. Next slide. And then just for the last final reminder for the Turn Up the Beat Award, the state agency must submit the nomination packet by September 29th. So I wanted to just do another final reminder to our SFSP and SSO sponsors who operated this summer, that if you have not submitted one and would like to submit one, please email that to me right away so that we can submit that to USDA by the end of this month. So that is it for me. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Marianne. We're almost finished with our webinar. The next webinar will be October 25th, as Marianne was mentioning. The ISNA vendor show and conference is the third Wednesday in October, so our webinar will actually be the fourth Wednesday. And here is the calendar. You have some other things on there to remember: your verification, your reimbursement, National School Lunch Week, Farm to School Month, all the things. And please reach out if you have any questions whatsoever. We're here to help you run these programs, and it's a lot, so we're doing anything we can to support you. and then our non-discrimination statement. So did anybody have anything else in the chat? Join Marianne at 8 to 9 a.m. at the Nampa Civic Center on October 18th. That's when her session will be. Thanks, Katie.
Pamela, I had not added a plug for USDA Foods, but also at that USDA or at the ISNA Food Show, the USDA Foods program will be hosting a Q&A. I did send out, I do have a Zoom invite for that for anyone that is not participating, but it will be from 9 to 10 Mountain Time. And then there's also an advisory council meeting at the Fall Food Show in the afternoon, and advisory council members are aware of that.
Thanks, TJ. Yes, in the chat, Katie put the USDA session is from 9 until 10, and the farm to school session is 1:30 to 2:30. So exciting times. Anyway, that's it for us this month. We can give you back 15 minutes of your day, and we'll be able to do the recording and get that out to you. So thanks, everybody. Have a great day and happy harvest. Take those pictures.
Bye, y'all.